my name is itstyrenee and welcome back to my YouTube channel. As you can see for today's video, I am absolutely excited that I am going to share my first thoughts with you on my first gameplay of Final Fantasy 15. I've been hesitant on playing this game for quite some time because there's a little bit of like mixed reviews when it comes down to it. But one day I was just like, I want to play one more Final Fantasy game that's old to y'all but new to me before Rebirth gets here. We officially have 100 days left. Well, it's 100 days as of November 21st, but I'm going to post this video on the anniversary for Final Fantasy 15. But it'll be less than 100 days by the time you guys see this, but less than 100 days left until Rebirth gets here, and I'm excited. So I just wanted to squeeze in one more Final Fantasy game before Rebirth gets here, because I know when Rebirth gets here, that's just basically what all I'm gonna like focus on. And yeah, but I definitely wanted to share with you guys my first thoughts on this game and how my experience was. But before we get into all of that juicy stuff there, please do not get to like, comment, subscribe. I do have social platforms down below. Please follow me on there. And with that being said, let's go ahead and dive into this review. So I did make some notes as far as my first experience. I do want to make a disclaimer that I know that there's extra content within the whole world of Final Fantasy 15. So as of today, which is today, November 21st, I've only watched one episode of the anime. I've already watched the movie, and then I've played Ignis and Gladio's DLC. I have not gotten to Promptos yet, but I will soon. But I know for a fact before the end of this month for sure. And I'm on break. I'm on a week-long break of my outside job, so I will definitely be doing that while getting some rest and stuff. And I will say that for my first playthrough, it took me exactly 2 weeks and 2 days to complete this whole game from beginning to end, and it was the fastest 2 weeks in my life that I have ever experienced, and it's by far the most amazing experience I've ever had with a video game. And I do want to categorize like my thoughts, and I will say that this game has like completely swooned me over, so I do apologize if like my thoughts are kind of like just bouncing all over the place. I'm just preparing for y'all because I am just genuinely excited, just sharing with you guys my thoughts of, you know, the characters and just everything that I loved with it all. So we'll go ahead and start off with the story. Alright, so with the story, I am actually happy that I actually read the back of the case before I got into it, because my first initial thought with this game was I thought Noctis was going to be like the cliche like Disney princess moment. I thought for Noctis it was going to be like, oh, he didn't like the royal life and he didn't want to be a prince anymore, so he was just like, I don't want to be a prince anymore, I'm gonna run away, I don't want to do this anymore. And all his friends were basically like, heck yeah, we'll help you escape too and live your best life. And then something crazy happens back at home, and then he's like, oh, I gotta go on this journey of self-discovery and, you know, learn what it takes to be a true prince turning into a king. And then he has to go back home and, you know, basically suck up the responsibility that he has and just protect his home. And I mean, I was kind of off, but I was kind of close too. But really the storyline is just basically, long story short, Noctis goes off on the road to marry this pretty girl for alliance, and then Noctis hears news about his kingdom falling apart, his dad and his fiance dying. But the only accurate like report at that time was his dad dying because the Empire took over his kingdom and obviously killed his dad. But the story does come with many layers outside of reclaiming the throne and restoring the kingdom. It does come with not only stopping a kingdom, but it comes with like friendship, self-discovery, and like fighting for humanity. And I did sit back and ask myself, what scenes do I like in particular as far as this whole game? And honestly, the stuff that does not happen like in game, like cutscene wise, I think those are more of like my favorite parts, because with the boys just roaming around and camping and driving around, they have like their little moments of dialogue here and there, and even with fighting, it's like cute, it's like charismatic and charming, and just like witty humor to like all of the boys, and their dynamic is just so beautiful, and it just like cozy and comforting, and it makes me wish I had their friendship too, like just a good group of friends that made me like feel that way. And I just love basically when they do like regular stuff. I feel like they do like really regular stuff like before chapter 9, and then things just like hit the fan and things get a little bit more serious after chapter 9. But I will say there's one scene in chapter 8 that really stuck with me, was when Sid was talking to Noctis, and he basically told Noctis not to conceal his feelings from Ignis, Prompto, and Gladio, because they're more than just his bodyguards, they're his brothers. And that was just like so endearing and heartwarming to me, and I just love it. And I honestly thought with Noctis, and I'm glad it did not go that route, I honestly thought with Noctis too, like when I first got into the game, I thought he was just going to be like some selfish, like bratty prince, because usually in media when it comes to dabbling in with characters in like a medieval or like royal like world lapse thingy thing, a lot of the princesses or the prince or the king or the queen, they start off with like being bratty and selfish and just like self-centered, and then something happens to them and then they develop in becoming a loving and kind person. But I just love from the beginning that they all loved each other. Like he treated them equally and they treated him equally. Like even though he was a prince, they didn't necessarily I guess, what's that word, I can't think, they didn't like keep things, they didn't sugarcoat anything when it comes to him, and he was just very nice and kind to them, and they were actually like, they actually had a brotherhood. It wasn't like no standoffish where it was just Gladio, Prompto, and Ignis being brothers, and Noctis was kind of like, I'm gonna stay to myself. And I really love that about their friendship overall. Now diving into the other boys, you have Ignis. Ignis is like the brains of the group and the designated driver, for me at least, because I always have a hard time driving in video games, and the only person who knows how to cook. And I can honestly sit up here and say that I will eat whatever Ignis makes if he cooks for me. And I'm not too much of a picky eater, but there's certain things where I'm like, no, I'm not gonna eat that. No, throw it in the trash. Put the paper plate over, you know, when you throw something in the trash can, you know, Thanksgiving, you know, kind of rule, you know, if something is nasty. But with him, he looks like he seasons his food. He puts a lot of love and care into his food, and I will eat whatever. I don't care how spicy, I don't care how salty he accidentally makes it, I don't care how sour, I don't care how sweet. I will eat it, I will eat it, I will eat it. And I'm a passenger princess too, so like I ain't gotta touch the wheel. Perfect, that's just perfect for me. And I really love his special attacks too when Noctis summons him, and he's just really an it boy, and I feel he's so underrated. Honestly, all of the boys, I feel like Noctis is kind of underrated too because the mixed reviews within this game. But the whole him being blind thing, I just thought it was just like a scratch in his eye at first and it needed time to heal, but I was just completely heartbroken when I found out like he was permanently blind and he couldn't do anything like cook and like drive anymore. That's when like it just hit me like, wow, things are really getting serious in this game. I was just like, so we just gotta eat toasted ramen noodles now that you can't see anymore? And then we have Gladio, or Gladius. I like to call him Gladio. I keep forgetting he got a full name. But he's your average tough guy. He's pretty chill and outgoing when it comes to his friends. And he served as like a human shield for Noctis, as it can be expressed through the dialogue in the game and even in his DLC. And one thing for sure, two things for certain, he don't play about his ramen noodles or his sister. I don't really like his sister like that, but we'll talk about that later. And he's a little prideful with his responsibility and protecting Noctis, and he can be a little bit harsh, but he does mean it with good intention. And I don't like cup noodles at all. I'm more of like the packet. I like the packet kind, but for some reason cup noodles just taste nasty. But whenever I eat ramen noodles, the packet kind, because I'm not touching cup noodles just because I played the game and y'all know. But whenever I eat pack noodles again, I will eat it in his honor. Comment down below what y'all put in y'all ramen noodles, because a lot of people just eat it with the chicken powder. Also, the chicken pack of ramen noodles is the best kind of ramen noodles. I don't want to hear about no beef, no pork. I've never heard anybody eat the pork or the shrimp kind, but just beef tastes weird. Anyways, we getting a little off track here. Cup noodles kind of taste like Petco to me. Don't ask why. I don't know how to explain it. I don't know what y'all... I know you probably gonna be like, what are you talking about? Anyways, and then we have my baby Prompto, who is the youngest between the boys. He is my birthday twin as well, which is incredibly insane. And when I first found out, like 2 or 3 days before my birthday that he was my birthday twin, and I was just like so in awe. I was crying, and I was like, I never share a birthday with a fictional character, and I always wondered what it was like for people to share a birthday with a fictional character, and now I have a birthday twin with a fictional character. If you don't know Prompto's birthday, me and Prompto's birthday is October 25th, and yeah, they're all amazing, but I find his personality to be very outgoing and more free-spirited when it comes to being himself. He does have insecurities with his inner self, but I appreciate that the boys love him regardless, and I love him regardless. And he is just a sweet boy. He's a photographer who's crazy obsessed with chocobos, and he loves him some Miss Cindy. And I never got tired of him singing about how he wanted to ride chocobos all day, and I will sing along with him sometimes too. And maybe I might play the game again just to hear him sing about riding chocobos all day. But let me tell you something about the little photography thing too. If I find out, let me tell you something when it comes to Prompto. If my baby Prompto taps on Noctis's shoulder and says, hey, I think there's a good photo spot, we should go find that photo spot, you better take that damn photo, I'll tell you that now. And then go back to what you're doing. You better stop what the fuck you doing and take that damn photo. It don't take nothing but about a good 2 minutes to take that fucking photo. Thank you. Alright, on to the next characters. You got Lunafreya, and looking from the outside, I thought people were really hard on Lunafreya's character, and I tend to find fictional women have like a tough time. Like, a lot of people don't cut them some slack. And I really try to find the good in a lot of these female characters, and it's hard because with her, I just could not really find much interest in her character, and she had so much potential within the game. Now, the book, I did buy the book previously that follows up with the story of 15, and it has a little bit of Reina too, but I really hope that to see more of an expansion on her character within that book. She was dead dirty in the game. I love her. I couldn't really grasp a liking to her, a serious liking to her, but I guess you can say I tolerate her. And I don't even like saying that when it comes to female fictional characters. Tolerate. That kind of sounds like a backhanded compliment. And I don't like that. But I will say she had much more of a bigger role in the movie because she was, of course, from what I remember, because that movie is so unforgettable, she did carry on her Noctis' father's ring. And of course she gave it to him. So I will give her that. And she was the Oracle. And she was healing people from the plague. And you know, I'll get into that particular scene later, but I don't want to say like she's nothing, if that makes sense. Like, if you take her out of the game, I feel like a couple of things would not have happened, but I feel like at the same time, for her to be in it, she should have had much more of an impact than she did. And then we have Arden. He's the antagonist of the game, and I had my suspicions about him from the very beginning. And I know they say don't judge a book by its cover, but shit, I was judging. I was judging real bad. The clothes he was wearing had me judging. real bad. All of my suspicions about him just came correct as soon as Noctis was like, fuck no. When Prompto was like, are we going to share a camp with him? Now, it's not that Noctis said fuck no, but I like to add a little bit more flavor to it. He said hell no, but like me, I gotta add more seasoning to that statement. He said fuck no. Real bad. Anyways, but yeah, and apparently this man has a DLC. I'm not touching it because y'all not gonna make me feel bad for him. I don't give a fuck. But Ty, his backstory is interesting, and it's just, I don't care. No. You stab Lulu, not Lulu, wow, Luna, and then you pushed my baby Prompto. Well, you made Noctis push my child off of a moving train. Really? And you're basically the reason why Ignis is blind. You're technically the reason that Ignis is blind. You're technically the reason. But thankfully enough that Noctis defeats Arden. And then we do have a couple more characters. We have Cindy, Iris, Sid, Arena, Core, Ravis. What's that other lady's name? Oh my god, I feel so bad because I'm kind of bad with names. What's that lady's name? Basically, when Noctis and Ignis and Gladio, they was on the train and it was freezing, and that lady, she made Arden shut up because she touched his lip and he froze like Anna from Frozen. We're gonna call her grab characters because I can't think of names right now. My brain don't. Y'all know who I'm talking about. But anyways, I'm quite neutral with some of these characters. Actually, no. Out of all of these characters I just listed off, I'm neutral with like the majority of them except for Iris. And y'all know I try to give grace when it comes to female characters because, again, people are really too hard on them when it comes to like debating on social media. But I just feel Iris got on my nerves because, like, you're 12 years old. And why are you flirting with somebody who's, 1, 8 years older than you, and 2, engaged to be married? And then when Noctis basically rejects her, like, attempts of, like, flirting, she was just like, oh, I was just joking. And I'm really trying so hard because she's a child. But, like, I feel like regardless if you're a child or not, you know better than to flirt with somebody who's about to be married. Moving on. And then we, of course, have the whole storyline itself. How do I feel about the storyline? Honestly, I love it all. I loved it. Before I even considered, again, playing the game, I did see a lot of hatred, and I never understood why. And I remember I had asked someone, why do people hate Final Fantasy 15 so much? And people were saying, oh, it just felt incomplete. But later on, I saw people admiring the game, and I was just like, you know what, I'll just try it for myself. And once I bought it for myself, I mentally prepared myself for like a couple days, maybe a week or so, to just prepare for what's to come. And now that I play this game, I feel like anybody who hates Final Fantasy 15 is either attention seeking or generally just does not have a good group of friends. Cause yeah, I don't know. And I'm, you know, like I said, I finished the other boys DLCs. I'm gonna play Prompto soon. Not touching Arden's, but even just not playing the DLCs and not even just watching the movie and not just watching the one episode of Brotherhood, I still enjoyed it for what it was. I couldn't really understand what the issue was at the time, but I could not understand the issue at the time. Now, you know, playing it for the first time in 2023. But what I will say is, after I did play the base game, I looked at the first trailer, the Final Fantasy 15 reveal trailer. I was like, okay, now I think I understand why people did not really like this game when it first came out too much, because the reveal trailer, I've only watched the reveal trailer, and then I watched like the material of what was supposed to be Versus 13, and I can kind of understand why people were a little upset, because the reveal trailer is a little bit misleading. I was looking at some of the stuff on there and I was like, I don't think anything that happened in this trailer, like any of the footage or the gameplay, that was not in the game. But I still like the game for what it is. The only thing that I would, I guess, criticize within this game is just Noct and Luna's dynamic. Because I feel like we should have seen, I guess, I don't know, Noctis proposing to Luna, seeing a relationship develop. I feel like it should have been developed not only just with flashbacks, but like, you know, if you're going to do flashbacks, I feel like it should be from child to teenager to adults, because both of them are adults now in this time and age. It just went from child to adult. And I feel I didn't even really get a romantic sense out of them even when they were as children. So I feel like it could have slowly developed as like friends and childhood friends to developing a liking to each other as teenagers. And then when it was set that they had to be engaged, you could have at least had shown Noctis, I don't know, getting down on one knee and be like, marry me. And she's like, oh my god, yes. The potential could have been there, but I mean, they got their happy ending in the end, and I think that's all that matters. Hopefully the book shows so much more of their relationship in a better tone than what this game has done. As far as Versus 13, I'm just looking at it now, it just looked kind of underwhelming in a sense, and maybe that's just me, but I'll say as far as the flaws of 15, there's going to be flaws in every single piece of media, whether you know you think there isn't or if it is. I promise you, everything when it comes to books, movies, music, video games, everything is going to have flaws to it. So I don't understand why 15 is that much different. And then again, back to the whole comment of the story being incomplete, I feel like the side content did a good job of remaining as side content, because I personally don't think it would have made sense to add the things that happened in the movie and the DLCs within this game, because I'm gonna be honest with you, I really did not like the movie at all. And I feel like if the movie, things that happened in the movie happened in the game, I probably would have dropped this game a long time ago. I was like, yeah, no, don't like it. And then I just don't think it would make sense to, like, as far as switching POVs with the different boys, I don't think it would have made sense where we leave Noctis, Ignis, and Prompto alone just to deal with, you know, Gladio on his journey of like building up his confidence and his strength to be a human shield, or, you know, Noctis going to obtain the powers from, what's that thing called? You know what happened in Altissia. I just don't think it would have made sense to just do back and forth with the boys, and especially going back and forth with like Prompto and his DOC. I just don't think it would have made sense, because we would be missing a whole chunk of material, and you've been like, well, dang, what happened after, you know, Ignis? You know, we saw Ignis and Raven seeing Noctis and Luna Freya like unconscious. You would have been like, dang, what happened? So I think it's perfect that the base game, that's Noctis's point of view, and then the DLCs are about the boys. The boys are important as much as Noctis, but everything centers around Noctis in Final Fantasy 15. And that's important, and it's about him. I'm not sure where the issue is with, again, the whole incomplete not rumors, just discourse. Alrighty, so now diving into music, I really admire the versatility within this entire soundtrack. I instantly fell in love with the music from the main menu. I was familiar with Stand By Me because that's a standalone song within itself in the music industry, and I thought it was a casual song that was just inserted in the game until, of course, I reached the finale, and now I refuse to listen to that song because it'll make me cry. And I'm still trying to figure out like other names of the soundtracks that I've heard within the game, like that sounds catchy, but songs that I do like from the get-go. I did love Relax and Reflect, Altissia, and please excuse me if I pronounce this incorrectly, but it's Fausti Fantastica. If I can find names of the other songs that I like in addition to this, then I will more likely just screenshot it and add it to my Instagram story like I usually do when I'm listening to something. But those are my favorites at the given moment. And now we have the gameplay. Everything went fine for me in the most part, but I did have the hardest time in the most simplest things. And I'm not lying to y'all when I say I only used magic in the tutorial and prepping for the finale. I wish I was joking, because I used magic in the tutorial and then throughout the rest of the game I was just like, why can't I use magic? And it wasn't until I DM'd a friend and I was like, can you show me like what happened to my magic? And they was like, this is how you equipped it. And I just felt like so stupid that I don't know how to explain it. Like, I have stocked up on it whenever I like equipped it from like those little station things, but I was just like, why can't I use it? It's not funny, y'all, don't laugh. And then another thing, I was also struggling with driving too. Whenever I would drive, I would try to like pull into like wherever I was trying to pull into, and I was just like, why can't I get in? Why can I get in? Why can I get in? For 5 minutes at a gas station. And it wasn't until 5 minutes later, I looked at the top of the screen and it said press X to park. And I've never felt so stupid in my entire life. The majority of the time I would let Ignis drive. The only time that I drove was the scene where, you know, you have to drive into the Empire to say Prompto, and then that one time where you had to follow Arden. But I will say that I made sure there was gas in the car. I never ran out of gas. I never had to tow the regalia. I never had to do that. No. But this is why I will never stream my first gameplays of anything, because I don't want to be embarrassed at all. I'd rather just play behind the scenes and then I go on YouTube and share with you guys my thoughts of the things. But I will say that there's little games in the gameplay that really make the game divine, with fishing, picking the meals for the boys to eat, the demon hunting. It's just more that you can think of. Also, why do people not like fishing? I don't trust anybody who plays Final Fantasy 15 and says they don't like fishing. Anyways, I will say that because side content is something that I usually do not touch when it comes to video games, but this game, I might actually play this game again where I like do all of the side quests and all the demon hunting and finding ingredient. I might do that for real. But this game is definitely an exception. And back to fishing as well. I'm sorry, I'm just going all over the place. But back to fishing. I don't know why the first time I had a hard time fishing, because my dumb self, I reeled it in, and then when it told me to go back and forth, instead of like pulling and like going in the same way while reeling in, I just like like letting the fish guide me until it comes to me. And then I had a hard time with fishing after chapter 9, because it was just like I couldn't find no fish, and then I was having a hard time with like the bait and what other stuff was it? I don't fish in real life. It was like all the equipment. I just could not get the fish I need. Fishing was fine until chapter 9, and all of a sudden it was like the fish did not want to get on the bait and let it reel in. But I'm not a fishing like expert, so I wouldn't know. I do want to talk about how open and expanded everything is too, because it's so fascinating, and it's like no matter how far you travel throughout the game, there's always something for you to do. Gather ingredients, unlock treasures, defeat higher level enemies, which makes it easy to grind, objectives and side quests. It's all amazing. Usually in open worlds, it's like when you go too far from like the main objective of the game, there's literally like nothing to do but to just roam around and just roam, and to a point that it doesn't make sense. But if you roam around in this game, there's always something for you to do. And it's like even if you roam too far out, the Empire will notice, and it gives you like a challenge to fight them off, which I had with a couple of times, and I fought them off easy peasy lemon squeezy once I had that ring on me. As for the combat, of course it took me about like a good 15-20 minutes to get the hang of anything, because I did the tutorial first. Warp Strife is a lifesaver when it comes to particular boss fights. Ravis, for example. This game actually deserves more credit when it comes to combat, because I've never played a game before where I can actually press pause and switch my combat out in the middle of a boss fight. Usually when I play games, more so role-playing games, it's like, okay, you need to pick your combat before you get into the boss fight, and if you pause the game, it's a straight up pause. Like, it's like you can't switch out your stuff in the middle of it. And I really feel like it's innovative with the weapon switching, and I feel like role-playing games should really all go into this route, but this game is and was so overhated. I doubt anybody would try to take this game into consideration for an example of combat switching. When it came to selecting the other guy's attacks, Ignis was definitely doing his thing. I swear, he's just like that guy. He's just an it boy. It's just like, wow. Like, maybe I should do a video essay on him. Maybe I should do video essays on all of the boys. Who knows? But I will admit that I had a hard time struggling to earn money at first, because usually earning money for me in games, or more so Final Fantasy, was just easy off the bat. But it wasn't until I realized, wow, I had to do like side stuff and sell stuff to get it. And I was big balling too. Like, I wish I had like money like that. But it's easier. I thought it would be easier to get money from like completing objectives within the main storyline. But again, doing side quests and hunts really gets the job done. I also didn't collect all of the royal weapons from my first playthrough. I might try doing that in the future. Who knows? I did struggle in blocking opponents' attacks too. It was definitely a hit or miss, no pun intended. And I really did not try to stress myself about it, because at the end of the day, I finished the game. Who gonna stop me? Nobody. Now, I'm not sure why I'm about to make this particular part like a separate part within the video. But I mean, last but certainly not least, we are going to talk about the finale. I remember playing this game, or before I got into the game, people were warning me and saying like, oh, you're gonna need some tissues, it's gonna break your heart. And just like Final Fantasy X, I thought people were being dramatic. Now, with the heartbreaking moment, I thought people were just referring to Lunafreya's death. And at that time, I just could not cry, because I couldn't really grow an attachment to her character. But my heart did feel something, because of course I had already grown attachment to Noctis at the time. And the transition from baby Noctis to adult Noctis, that was just like, I mean, it obviously did affect him too, because he just lost his dad like not too long beforehand. And my eyes were watering before the finale, because it was when Noctis asked Prompto if he could take a picture of him, and I was going through all the photos. I was like, nope. They were watering, and I did not know why at the time. I was like, I'm gonna be fine. I'm gonna be fine. Took a photo. Okay, cool. The waterworks didn't start to come in really for real once the credits rolled in. Once the credits rolled in and the callback to the beginning of the game came in, with the boys talking about trying to push the car, and Stand By Me was playing in the background, and I saw all the photos coming in that I took throughout the game into the credits, I completely lost it. I remember I cried so bad. I was just crying and crying. And mind you, this was the night, I don't know why I did this. I was so hard-headed. I did this on the night of my birthday dinner, but I finished the game after I came home from my birthday dinner. And I was just like, well, I'll just finish the rest of this game because I need to get this video out, whatever. I was crying so bad, and I was on the floor, and I was just like hyperventilating. My breathing was bad. I think my eyes were so swollen from all that crying, and I was literally like on all fours. Yes, all fours. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, crying, just crying. And I was just like, I need to calm down. And I was crying in the middle of the night. I was crying at like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. Thankfully, the fan was just like doing its little white noise thingy thing. So like nobody in my family was like, girl, you good? But I just feel like it was just so unfair. But I know that with sacrifice, it comes with saving the world and, you know, just saving their friends. Somebody did a theory. I don't think this is true, but somebody was saying all of the boys died and not just Noctis. I don't think that's true. I feel like only Noctis died. It's kind of, I don't like that idea. I mean, it hurts for Noctis to be gone, but I don't like the idea of all of the boys being gone. I don't like that idea, because the world the light restored. I don't know, whatever. Anyways, I just feel like it was unfair. It's a beautiful ending. It's bittersweet, like, hey, the world is safe, but I just still feel like what happened to Noctis was unfair. Now, mind you, I did play Final Fantasy X earlier this year and lost it as well. And it just made me sit and think to myself, when will I ever play a Final Fantasy game that's not going to make me cry? So far, the only Final Fantasy game that hasn't made me cry is 7 Remake, but that's because that leaves off a cliffhanger. And even Crisis Core. Crisis Core didn't make me cry too because I already knew that Zack was dead. So I was expecting for Zack to be dead. But I just... I'm gonna play something that's not gonna make me cry. I think that's the worst thing I've ever did on my mental health too. Playing 2 games for the first time in a year that made me cry. That's the worst thing somebody could ever do with their mental health. Oh my gosh, I haven't been the same since. I want to go back to the person I was before I played these games. Golly. Should have just stuck to Kingdom Hearts and 7 Remake. God damn. And now for the $1 million question. Will I ever replay Final Fantasy 15? And the answer to that is absolutely fuck yes, because I had a great time playing this game from beginning to end, despite the tears that I shed in the end for Noctis' fate. But I do plan on replaying this game over and over again. I think I have a plan. What I will do every time I play this game again, I will replay up to chapter, let's see, up until where the boys reunite 10 years later. I feel like that's the true ending in my mind. After Noctis, you know, he rests, he hibernates for 10 years and he meets the boys. That's the true ending for me. There you go. Happy. The end. That's the true ending for me. But that is actually the conclusion for today's video. I do apologize if I wasn't really much in depth with my thoughts. I actually do plan on doing an unpopular opinions video for this game, as I always do with any game that I get into for the first time. And I'll go a little bit more in depth with certain scenarios because I really just wanted to touch the surface of everything, because I know there's probably some people who've never played this game before, or you know, going too in depth. I'm pretty sure y'all didn't want me to hear every single little piece and forethought. I'm pretty sure y'all just wanted me to talk about just the more honorable mentions, or like the highlights of the games. So definitely I'm gonna do an unpopular opinions video very, very soon, and I can dive further into my thoughts with that there. But please do not forget to follow me on all social platforms. It'll be down below in the description box, and like, comment, subscribe. And I'm happy that I finally get to share my thoughts with y'all on Final Fantasy 15. Honestly, I'll say this too. So far, the Final Fantasy games that I've played that are really up there for me, I've played, as for main titles, I'll say this. As for main titles, I played 7 Remake, 10, and 15. 7 Remake and 15, they are like, they're a tie for me so far. But I know I'll be playing more Final Fantasy games and, you know, more experiences and more videos like this as far as reviews and unpopular opinions for it. But that is all that I have for you all today. Again, thank you guys so much for watching. I'm not going to keep you guys for long. Thank you. I love you. And bye. See you later.